Hello everyone, hi everyone, assalamu alaikum. I am reading the book Evolution's Final Days. Let's see, where was I? Yes, so sorry, just one second. Page 21. Yeah. Yes, so another big issue is that of mitosis and meiosis. So the first mitosis is spelled mitosis, and meiosis is spelled meiosis. If you've taken a biology class, you may remember these processes in cells. Cells can divide and replicate in two ways. Mitosis and meiosis, simple asexual organisms, go through mitosis. These would have been the organisms which dominated early Earth. According to evolutionists, in mitosis, one cell divides into two identical daughter cells which contain the same genetic information and the same number of chromosomes as the original. Meiosis is much different. Meiosis occurs in all sexually reproducing organisms, as it is required in order to make offspring. In humans, meiosis is the process which occurs in sperm cells and egg cells during meiosis. One sperm or egg cell divides into 4 daughter cells, each with different characteristics and half the number of chromosomes of the original cell. Then during intercourse, one sperm cell with only 23 chromosomes fuses with an egg cell with only 23 chromosomes to make a full 46 chromosome human cell. This cell then replicates via mitosis and eventually a complete human is made. With all this being said, the big issues here are how and why. How is this possible? How is this possible? Like other aspects of organisms we'll talk about in this book, changing from mitosis to meiosis would have been an extremely complicated process. Meiosis has been coined the queen of problems in evolutionary biology. As to this day, a reasonable explanation for how it would have been adapted by an asexual organism has not been given by scientists, evolutionary biologists. And another question is why would a perfectly functioning asexual organism which is able to reproduce on its own just fine via mitosis go through the painstaking process of evolving to have cells which undergo meiosis? What would be the evolutionary advantage to this? None of said organisms' peers would be able to make use of this evolutionary anomaly, and there is no reason to postulate this anomaly would have continued on. So I would like to do a brief commentary, and what John Morrison is saying is true. I mean, that's correct. How is this possible? Yeah, scientists, evolutionary biologists, Darwinists, have not explained this. Changing from mitosis to meiosis would have been an extremely complicated process. Meiosis has been coined the queen of problems in evolutionary biology. As to this day, a reasonable explanation for how it would have been adapted by an asexual organism has not been given by scientists. And again, asexual organism, why would it want to, go through the painstaking process of evolving to have cells which undergo meiosis? What's the evolutionary advantage? So, as you can see, the Darwinists actually are bunch of clueless scientists. I have to say, maybe I'm being a little frank, actually a little brute, harsh, but the Darwinists are clueless. They have no idea what they're doing. I mean, seriously, Charles Darwin? I mean, fossil record is no proof of evolution. I mean, fossil record is just fossil record. It's just bones, of animals and humans and insects. I mean, how is that evolution? Seriously. I mean, we understand microevolution, like bacteria evolving and therefore resistant to antibiotics. Yes? Page 25, part 4, second law of thermodynamics. There are 4 accepted laws of thermodynamics. These are the laws scientists have agreed upon involving fundamental physical quantities. Fundamental physical quantities. Just one second, I'll just want to check something. Oh yeah, so that's right, page 23. Sorry about that. So there are 4 accepted laws of thermodynamics. These are the laws scientists have agreed upon involving fundamental physical quantities, which include temperature, energy, and entropy. These laws are applicable to all scientific fields, which include chemistry, physics, and biology. The second law of thermodynamics states that over time, entropy, also known as disorder, increases in the scientific community. Entropy is shown as delta S in brackets. This page 25. In nature, molecules gravitate towards randomness and disorder. Over time, scientists observe processes on Earth become more disordered, not less. Let's take, for example, your school yearbook. As the years go by, you notice your high school yearbook becomes more unstable. The pages start deteriorating. The pictures start fading. So what it's saying is that aging is an example of the second law of thermodynamics. The arrow, I'm just gonna go to the next page. Next page example. Here is another example. Let's say you threw a pile of bricks out of a truck. Which picture below would be more likely to be the outcome? Basically, there is a diagram. So there's a picture of bricks neatly piled up, and one is the other picture. It's just untidy bricks everywhere. Obviously, the picture on the right would be the more expected outcome, which is untidy bricks everywhere. And this is because of the second law of thermodynamics, which states the universe moves towards disorder. You could throw the same pile of bricks out of the truck 1,000 times or for 300 million years if you're an evolutionist, and never get a picture that even comes close to the first pile. Yeah, this is true because someone was telling me, for example, say you have a second home, and it's a holiday home, and most of the time the holiday home is empty. And when it's empty and a hurricane comes along, and basically it messes up your second holiday home, and everything, like in the living room, everything goes on upside down. The TV is upside down, the sofa, the tea table, and so forth. And so if you leave it like that, will it naturally, even after 100 million years, tidy itself up? And I think another example was if there is a, in a scrapyard, you have car parts lying around, and if you give the car parts, like say 200 million years, will they come together by their own? And of course the answer is no. So yeah, I get what he's saying. And again, what I don't understand is how come, what I do understand from, this book and others that I have read regarding Darwinian theory of evolution, is that it is clear to me that, Darwin's theory of evolution has failed. It's not really, it doesn't affect, it's not really doing anything. It's not very effective. It's basically, it's just, it's a very weak model. Let's be honest. What are you going to do with randomness? And even, randomness. Let's see what Morrison says about randomness. So I'm going to read on. Yeah, the only way to do that would be actually design the bricks, which we will touch on later. So why would this randomness and disorder apply to every field of science, including biology, but somehow be exempt from evolution? The theory of evolution states that random amino acids somehow came together, thus violating the second law of thermodynamics, and became a cell. Then the single-celled asexual organism randomly mutated and again became more ordered, and has since become more ordered with every mutation. The explanation for this, it's been millions and millions of years, an imaginary time period that makes the theory appear more believable because of how long of a timeline they paint. I don't care how long it's been, life does not become more ordered with time. It becomes more disordered. Now that's not to say it doesn't change with time, as we see with microevolution. However, to become more ordered, such as the ability to start seeing, hearing, feeling, etc., is an absolute stretch of the imagination. Let's go back to that pile of bricks you threw out of the truck. If you were to leave them in a pile for 5 million years, what would you suppose would happen to them? They will not form a perfect order stack and grow arms and start moving. They will eventually degrade and spread out further and further, becoming even more disordered than when you threw them out of the truck. And had you broken the laws of probability, and they did land in a perfect ordered pile as shown on the picture on the left, they would still start to degrade and spread out further over time. And evolutionists can replace that pile of bricks with some amino acids, as we will talk about in part 9 of this book, and the same outcome would result. No part of science is exempt from the second law of thermodynamics, and that includes evolution. So there you have it. One thing is clear, that Darwinists deliberately are using this illogical Darwinian theory of evolution. Well, okay, let's say, speculative Darwinian theory of evolution. They're using this. I do understand Charles Darwin himself was a racist, because he did mention something like the primitive man is black or something, and this is it. You see, Charles Darwin, being an Englishman or a man from Britain, he, told himself that people like black people are less inferior, like less human, And I think I saw that in Common Descent or Common Descent of Man, or his other book, not the, or in both books, Origin of the Species. And I think what happened was people who followed Darwinists, they actually, thought, we could use this and basically, advance our slavery, like kind of justify it, like rationalize it, and we still see the consequences of all that, basically deliberate deceivement, deliberate, basically at the end of the day it was greed. And of course Charles Darwin, I'm sure, had a problem with the New Testament. And so he, the church back then was very strong, especially the Vatican. And so he thought, I'll just come up with this, Darwinian theory. I mean, this randomness, basically he's referring to unguided processes. But that's the thing, there are no such thing as unguided processes. There is external intelligence behind all living organisms. For example, look, for me to think, and for me to think logically, it's like, what I'm trying to say, how is it that I can think logically? It's a mechanism, isn't it? It's mechanical. I mean, how can I mean, like I have order. Everybody has order. For example, I get up, I get dressed, I will have breakfast. Yeah, like what I'm trying to say is, in the morning, I'm sure, everyone who wakes up, when they wake up, they would obviously go to the bathroom to relieve themselves first, and, have a shower, brush your teeth, all that, empty your bladder, empty your, bowels, and then you would, make breakfast and have breakfast, right? So what I'm trying to say, there's always order. You don't see any disorder. And if we do see disorder from a human, then they are psychologically challenged. Their brain is not working properly. Maybe they have autism, maybe not. But somehow they're psychologically challenged. And yeah, so this is what it is. It's basically, they are using Darwinists are using the Darwinian theory of evolution to reject God, to deny God, to deny the Creator Allah, and just live, live as they want to live, how they want to live, and that's the sad part. This is what it is. They just want to, they're very arrogant and very selfish. Arrogant, really. They just want to, I mean, can you imagine? I mean, it's unbelievable because, God created everyone and everything. The Creator Allah created and designed everyone and everything, the entire existence. And how can they be so ungrateful? How can they be so arrogant? It's beyond belief. One thing is clear, the title of the book says, Evolution's Final Days, the mounting evidence disproving the theory of evolution. You have, Stephen Meyer's signature in the Cell, Darwin's Doubt. You have James Tour. I mean, that guy is awesome. It's very hard to explain his lecture, but you should check out James Tour lecture. One of the lecture is, I think, the title is "The Origin of Life has not been explained," not by naturalists, not by Darwinists. You have also Jerry Fodder, what Darwin got wrong, and you will have people, who are Darwinists, like basically Darwin is their God, and Origin of the Species is their Bible, and they will tell you, oh, that's pseudoscience, and Discovery Institute is pseudoscience, and intelligent design is pseudoscience, and but what's actually happening is that they they have been misled by their own. I mean, they have chosen to mislead themselves. It's really, they're just being arrogant about all this, and deliberately misleading the children into atheism, and then of course that leads to hellfire. Okay, thank you for listening.